Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Dayang Farafazana binti Abang Ilham, and this is my group members Safia Nusyahadah binti Masno, Farah Nuzahin binti Zahir Anwar, and Nurul Adrela binti Kamal Jeffrey. So in this video, my group will be talking about our assignment in Project 2. So this is the content of this presentation video. So now, let's start with introduction. So this analysis examines Malaysia's 2022 economic environment by studying revenue and expenses across Peninsula and East Malaysia. Key economic variables include the Gini coefficient, average spending, average and median income, and state-specific poverty rates. So mean income shows the average state income, while median income, less affected by odd years, reflects typical income levels. Mean expenditure indicates spending patterns and cost of living. The Gini coefficient measures income inequality, and the poverty rate shows the percentage of people below the poverty line.
Firstly, for dataset, we choose a dataset that focuses more on income and expenditure statistics for various states in Malaysia, categorized into East and Peninsula Malaysia for the year of 2022. So this dataset includes the variables such as the mean and median income, mean expenditure, Gini coefficient, and poverty rate for each state. To prepare the data for analysis, we perform several pre-processing steps. Firstly, we check and handle any missing or null values, ensuring the dataset was complete. Next, we identify and manage any outliers that might skew our analysis. Lastly, we categorize the states into East and Peninsula Malaysia to facilitate the comparative analysis.
We choose these variables because they provide a comprehensive view of the economic status across different states, allowing us to perform a detailed comparative analysis between East and Peninsula Malaysia. So the income mean helps us understand the central tendencies and variations in income distribution. Also, the expenditure offers insights into spending patterns and living costs. And by analyzing these variables, we aim to identify differences in economic well-being and spending behavior between East and Peninsula Malaysia. Additionally, hypothesis testing, correlation, regression, and ANOVA are used to test the sample data. This analysis will provide valuable insights contributing to more informed decision-making. I will explain about hypothesis testing to sample. In this analysis, we use variable income mean of two samples which are Peninsula Malaysia and East Malaysia. This test is conducted to determine whether the mean of Peninsula Malaysia is different from the mean of East Malaysia or not at 95% of confidence level, assuming unequal variances. From the data, frequency, mean, and standard deviation are calculated. From the table shown in this slide, we know that the frequency of Peninsula Malaysia is 13, while East Malaysia is 3. For the mean for Peninsula Malaysia is 8,120.23, while East Malaysia is 6,959.33. And the standard deviation for Peninsula Malaysia is 3,020.16, while East Malaysia is 1,126.86. First of all, we will do the hypothesis statement first. For H null, we know that mean 1 equal to mean 2, and H alternative is mean 1 not equal to mean 2, whereby mean 1 means of Peninsula Malaysia and mean 2 is East Malaysia. Next step, which is second step, is given 95% confidence level, which is alpha equal to 0.05. So the test statistics, which is T null, can be calculated using the formula stated in the picture in this slide. So from the RStudio, the test statistic that we get is T null equal to 1.0945. For step 3 is calculate the degree of freedom using the formula as stated in the picture. So by using the RStudio, the degree of freedom that we get is V equal to 9.68 approximately 9. Therefore, by using alpha equal to 0.05, we will reject the null hypothesis if the test statistic is greater or less than the critical value. From alpha is equal to 0.05, we find the p-value by using RStudio. We find that the p-value is equal to 0.302. So, the conclusion is the critical value equal to negative 2.2622 and 2.2622. So, for the conclusion is, since the test statistic is less than critical value, we fail to reject the null hypothesis. The p-value also shows that we fail to reject the null hypothesis since the p-value is greater than alpha. Hence, there is no sufficient evidence to reject the claim that the mean of Peninsula Malaysia is different to the mean of East Malaysia.
For correlation test, we use the scatter plot to illustrate the relationship between mean expenditure and mean income. So the plot shows that as mean income increases, mean expenditure also tends to increase. So this suggests a positive linear relationship between two variables. Now, to do the correlation test, first we must find the sample correlation coefficient first. So by using the RStudio, we get the value of R, which is equal to 0.956. Then we construct hypothesis statement. So for null hypothesis, rho is equal to 0, which means no linear correlation. For alternative hypothesis, rho is not equal to 0, which means linear correlation exists. Then for the test statistic, a significant levels of 0.05 is used to test claim that there is linear correlation between income mean and expenditure mean of each state. So from the RStudio, we obtain the value of t is equal to 12.227, the degree of freedom, which is n minus 2, equals to 14, and the p-value is equal to 7.349, exponent negative 9. And from the trailer table, t, the value of t 0.025 with degree of freedom for t is equal to 2.145. So this is the results we obtained from the RStudio. After doing all this, finding all this value, so we can come to a conclusion that since t, which is 12.227, is more than t 0.025 with degree of freedom 14, or p-value is less than significant level, we reject null hypothesis. There is sufficient evidence to claim that there is a linear relationship between income mean and expenditure mean of each state. This suggests that other factors, such as regional cost of living, state-specific economic conditions, and cultural differences, play more significant roles in determining expenditure patterns.
Okay, so now we are moving to regression test. As you can see from the slides, we can see that income mean and expenditure mean has a positive linear relationship. The best fit line showing an upward inclining indicates the positiveness of the relationship. Okay. So by using the estimated regression linear model, we maintain from the RStudio the coefficients intercepts and x. It is shown here 604.1036, and for the x we get 0.5553. So we apply the hypothesis statement for the null hypothesis. B1 equals to 0, which means that there is no linear relationship. And for the alternative hypothesis, we state that B1 is not equivalent to 0, which means linear relationship does exist. So after the conclusion, we maintain for test statistic, it is proven that a level of significance of 0.05 is used to test the claim that there is no linear relationship between the income mean and expenditure mean. From the RStudio, we obtain the value of sample regression slope coefficient B1 equals to 0.555, standard error of the slope SB1 equals to 0.045, test statistic value t equals to 12.227, and p-value equals to 7.349 e negative 0.9. Degree of freedom is 14, since sample size n equals to 16. From trial table, the critical value t equals to 2.145. So as you can see from, in the slides, we obtain from RStudio the coefficients for estimated standard deviation, error, t-value, etc. So therefore we can conclude that since t is bigger than t 0.025, or in other words, p-value is lesser than the level of significance A, we reject the null hypothesis. There is sufficient evidence to claim that there is a linear relationship between income mean and expenditure mean. This suggests that other factors such as regional cost of living, economic conditions, and cultural spending habits may have a greater influence on expenditure patterns than income alone.
Lastly, we conduct a one-way ANOVA test with equal sample size, due to the same sample size of each population being compared. So the purpose of this test to test the significant difference between means of income for 4 different divisions in Malaysia. Firstly, we choose East Coast, which is the sample of Sabah and Sarawak. Second, North Zone of West Coast, the sample of Pulau Pinang and Kedah. Third, Middle Zone of West Coast, which is the sample of Selangor and Kuala Lumpur. And lastly, we choose South Zone of West Coast, which is the sample of Negeri Sembilan and Melaka. We use a 0.05 significance level to test the null hypothesis that the income for people in different divisions of Malaysia will have the same mean. Firstly, we state the hypothesis statement. For H null, we state that each divisions have the same mean, which is we declare for the mean 1 is for East Coast means of income, mean 2 is for North Zone of West Coast means of income, third Middle Zone of West Coast means of income, mean 4 is for South Zone of West Coast means of income. And then for dataset, we calculate the frequency, mean and standard deviation. For the frequency, since we use the same sample size for each division, so we write here for each n is equal to 2. And then we also calculated the mean for each divisions. And lastly, we also calculated the standard deviation of each divisions. Then we conduct this test using RStudio to find the variance within sample, variance within sample, test statistic F with alpha equals to 0.05, numerator and denominator, p-value, critical value, which is F critical with alpha equals to 0.05. From our studio, to find the variance between sample, we first conduct a calculation to calculate the mean between sample and standard deviation between sample. For mean between sample, we get the value of 8110.25. For standard deviation between sample, we get 3237. And then for variance between sample, we get 20959106.8332. And then for variance between sample, from our studio, we got the value of 1372 573.7649. What we calculate the test statistic using our studio, which is we got the value of 15.26993. For number 5, we calculate the numerator and denominator using our studio, which is the value of numerator we got is 3 and denominator is 4. And then number 6, from our studio, we got the value of p-value, which is 0.01176. And lastly, we calculated the critical value using our studio with alpha equals to 0.05, numerator 3 and denominator 4. And the answer that we got for F critical is 6.59138. So to conclude, since F is more than F critical value, which is 15.3699, is more than 6.5914, to reject the null hypothesis. Also, the p-value shows to reject the null hypothesis since p-value is equal to 0.012 less than alpha, which is 0.05. To conclude, there is no sufficient evidence to support the claim that the income for people in different divisions of Malaysia will have the same mean.
Now we are already at the conclusion of our project. So in the end, there are significant distinctions between Peninsular Malaysia and East Malaysia as a result of our examination of income and spending data from several Malaysian states. We were able to determine important economic trends as well as variations in wealth and cost of living by concentrating on mean income and mean expenses. Higher rates of poverty in some places draw attention to the need for specific measures to address these problems, which is important for decision makers in economic planning and resource allocation, as well as policymakers. We found significant links and patterns in the data through our statistical analysis, which included hypothesis testing, correlation, and ANOVA. This understanding served as a basis for creating policies that encourage eco-regional development and lessen economic inequality. All things considered, our research highlights the significance of ongoing data gathering and analysis for tracking economic trends and assessing the performance of policies, guaranteeing equal development throughout Malaysian regions. That's all from us. Thank you for listening. Assalamualaikum and bye.